About 1 in 10 children will be sexually abused before their 18th birthday. About 1 in 7 girls and 1 in 25 boys will be sexually abused before they turn 18. Only about 38% of child victims disclose the fact that they have been sexually abused. Nearly 70% of all reported sexual assaults, including assaults on adults, occur to children ages 17 and under. Youths have higher rates of sexual assault victimization than do adults. In 2000, the rate for youth aged 12 to 17 was 2.3 times higher than for adults. 44% of rapes with penetration occur to children under age 18. Victims younger than 12 are accounted for 15% of those rapes, and another 29% of rape victims were between 12 and 17. About 90% of the children who are victims of sexual abuse know their abuser. The younger the victim, the more likely it is that the abuser is a family member. Of those molesting a child under 6, 50% of them were family members. Family members also accounted for 23% of those abusing children ages 12 to 17. About 60% of children who are sexually abused are abused by people the family trusts. 70% of child sex offenders have between 1 and 9 victims, while 20% have 10 to 40 victims. The younger the child victim, the more likely it is that the perpetrator is a juvenile. Juveniles are the offenders in 43% of assaults on children under age 6. Of these offenders, 14% are under age 12. 81% of child sexual abuse incidents for all ages occur in one perpetrator/one child circumstances. 6 to 11-year-old children are most likely by 23% to be abused in multiple victim circumstances. Most sexual abuse of children occurs in a residence, typically that of the victim or the perpetrator. 84% for children under age 12 and 71% for children aged 12 to 17. In 2006, arrests for online youth victim cases constituted only 1.2% of arrests for all sex crimes against children. There were 615 arrests for online cases versus 49,345 arrests for all sex crimes against children. 23% of all 10 to 17-year-olds experience unwanted exposure to pornography. Child sexual abuse makes children more vulnerable to sexual exploitation. More than 90% of children who are commercially sexually exploited have been sexually abused in the past. About 75% of child pornography victims are living at home when they are photographed. Parents are often responsible. Age is a significant factor in sexual abuse. While there is a risk for children of all ages, children are most vulnerable to abuse between the ages of 7 and 13. The median age for reported abuse is 9 years old. However, more than 20% of children are sexually abused before the age of 8. 39% of 7 to 12-year-olds with a history of child sexual abuse and academic difficulties. 7 to 12-year-old girls with a history of child sexual abuse were 50% more likely to display cognitive ability below the 25th percentile. 26% of 7 to 12-year-old girls with a history of child sexual abuse reported that their grades dropped after they were abused, and 48% had below average grades. 45% of pregnant teens report a history of child sexual abuse. This isn't just women anymore. It never was just women. This attitude is hurting our children. I look around my school and I wonder who else went through what I did. And it's horrifying to realize that it's much more probable than it should be. So for the people who say that people sexually harass people in high school and that's just the way it is, let me ask you this. Too many children are sexually abused. That is the way it is. Does that make it okay? Sexual harassment does not have to be just the way it is. We can change this.